let me tell you about me. I know about fashion, I know about cinema, I know about poetry, and this film is all three.
Happy New Year!
Hey dude, my name is Neptune. I'm a critically acclaimed writer and an award-winning director of stage. We're talking about comedy and theatre, baby. And I'm also a writer of prose. Hello. And I'm here to talk about the film Red, White and Royal Blue. Just so you know, I am mostly here to cut up, kiki and have fun, okay? I will be talking about the costumes, the cinematography, the acting. But honestly, I'm not really here to look at this through too much of a, critical lens. Just here to be like, I'm a queer, I enjoyed it, and there's also some things I know about film and storytelling that I will be getting into, and that kind of thing. I'm also not here to talk about the book versus the film. I'm just here to talk about the film as a standalone piece of media. Also, I'll be jumping around this film, back, front, everywhere. Hello. So if you don't want any spoilers about this film, go watch the film first and then come back and we can cut it up and kiki about this film, alright? No rush. Go do that. I'll be here. I'll be waiting. Alright, so we're going to start off with some of the moments that had me screaming. First of all, we have playing Get Low. That was too much. I was like, why are you in my walls depicting my life on screen? I don't like that, okay, because I deserve my privacy as a private citizen, and I did not appreciate that you've been listening to my life and you're depicting it on screen. Do you realize the amount of times I've had a tender emotional moment, and you know what's been playing? Push It by Salt and Pepper, Swimming Pools by Kendrick Lamar, Get Low by Lil Jon, because Lil Jon and the East Side Boys with me, and we all like to see ass and titties. And everyone's getting low, and then they lock eyes across the dance floor, and I'm like, this is team too much. This is entirely too much. This is absolutely unheard of, and I was like, no, first of all, and second of all, no, third of all, no, and fourth of all, no, and fifth of all, everyone get out of my house. That was too much. That was team too much. What are we doing at that? We as queer people are like, I want to see my life depicted in film, and then when I see my life depicted in film, I'm like, you need to stop, okay? Because I don't like it. We also have the, and here I was thinking Alexander da-da-da-da-da was a mouthful, and Henry saying he is. Bitch. How? Because, no, okay, don't do that, okay, because that's, and I'm just here trying to live my life. I'm here trying to be charismatic and enjoyable and a fun person to be around, and you're here just making a mockery of my life, just making a mockery of me and everything that I stand for and everything that I do. Couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, no, absolutely not. And then the line about English boarding school in regards to, have you ever been with a man before? Girl, stop exposing my secrets, my lies, and my life. Stop that. Stop that, okay? This is just the moments that had me screaming and running around my apartment. Do you know what I mean? I was just over here twerking because sometimes this is not enough, okay? This is not a big enough stim sometimes, and I just have to shake my ass. And the real divas know. The real divas know if you're really stimming, you're shaking that ass, shaking that groove thing, okay? The real divas get what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm saying. The first kissing scene with the leg up, it was at that point that I had to leave my apartment, turn around and come back into my apartment. It was at that point that I had to go. I said, everyone, no one's here, just me. I said, everyone, I've got to head out. I'm gonna head out. You know what I mean? That was, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the makeout scene in The Perfection, where we also have a leg up. I mean, those two women were completely naked, so it's a little bit different. But yeah, the leg up's gonna get me every time. The leg up is gonna have me feral, just chewing on broken glass every single time. A leg up? It's too much. It's a leg up. And the thing is, I'm not prudish. I'm not someone who is easily shocked. You know what I mean? I'm not someone who is easily like, oh my god, you're into that? You're a weirdo. Baby, you cannot say anything to me. You cannot shock me. And not just because, former S-worker over here, but also because it's like, it's just bodies. Who cares? We have bodies. They're beautiful. They're great. We can use them to feel all kinds of wonderful things. We take care of them. We fuel them. We rest them. We use them to hug each other and to care about each other. And I think it's beautiful and wonderful and transcendent. Do you know what I mean? I love having a body. I love being a human being. I love the sky and the rocks and my friends. You know what I mean? Well, friend. But you know what I'm saying? I love this experience of humanity. But this is the thing. Once I'm watching a queer film and they are kissing, I'm 12 years old again. Suddenly I'm 12 years old and I've never seen another person naked. Suddenly I'm 12 years old and I've never kissed someone on the lips. But I'm so embarrassed and I'm like, oh my goodness. That leg up went crazy. And then they get interrupted and they're, oh my god, and they're like, too much. And then the little butt slap afterwards, in front of your mom, diva. Diva, in front of your mom! In front of your mom, who is Uma Thurman, the President of the United States of America. You're crazy for that. You're nuts. You're doing too much. Jail. Jail for you right now. Horny jail. Horny jail for you. Get out of town. I'm getting hot. I'm overheating because I love cinema, okay? I love it. You wouldn't get it because you don't love cinema like I love cinema, okay? I love cinema. Me personally, I love cinema. Something about me is I love cinema, okay? I love it. Frop it. I frop cinema. Frop for it. The thing is, these two lead actors, Nicholas and Taylor, they really put their whole souls into this film. They really went there, they really did it, and I love that for them. I love that for them. Because this is the thing, sometimes I see kissing scenes between two dudes, and it's like, first of all, why are you going after a role with kissing scenes between you and another man if you don't know how to kiss another man? Why are you doing that? What did you think this film was? What did you think was going to happen? Kiss that man right now. Put your tongue down his throat, okay? Unless you're going to be Tom Hardy and be like, of course I sleep with men, I'm an actor, then I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to know about it. You're not a real actor. Because I've said it before and I'll say it again, okay? You, as a man, are not a real actor until you get to know another man on screen, okay? That is acting. That's real cinema. Me, I know about poetry, fashion, cinema, art, intimacy, connection, and lyricism, okay? I know everything about it. Actually, I've done all of the research. I know everything, and you can't tell me anything about it because I know everything about it, actually. And if you, as a man, as an actor, are not getting it on with another man on screen, you're not really an actor. It's like the Mountain Goat said, kiss me with your mouth open and take your foot off the brakes for Christ's sake, alright? And I know about that, because I know about intimacy, connection, and lyricism. And you don't know about that, but I do, yeah? So that's that on that, actually. That's that on that, actually. And I do understand that I'm a human person who did a solo theatre show in which I was fully naked for 15 minutes, and I wrote that for myself, and I did that. I also got progressively more naked, so it's like, you know, variously naked throughout the entire show. And so I do understand that I have a level of comfort with my body and everything that not everyone has. But again, why are you going after the role if you're like, what's going on? It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm getting hot. I'll also say this. I feel like the explicitness of queer love scenes is completely tied to how much distribution that film is going to get in like the English-speaking mainstream space. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like when I've seen queer love scenes in like European or South American cinema, sometimes Asian cinema, it does depend, but generally European and South American definitely cinema, I feel like there is a lot more openness to like what it is to be a person and what it is to be touching someone else, to be desiring someone else, to be here with someone else in this moment. And I feel like there's just a little less like hang-ups about it. You know, I'm not like an anthropologist. I don't know everything about like the culture of Europe or South America or why those countries generally seem to be a little bit more open to just like depicting genuine queer love scenes. But I will say that often when I come back to like English-speaking queer media, I'm really slapped around the face with like how sterile it really can be. Like it really can often be fade to black way too soon. And I will say I did enjoy that they kind of did like we're making out, implied oral fade to black, we're making out, implied fade to black, and then we have this like big queer love scene in which we're kind of seeing the moment of penetration, I guess. But it's like I did just enjoy that, like just kind of the intimacy and trust and the non-verbal communication of that moment, the kind of intensity of like the eye contact and the smallness of Henry's kind of like nodding and sort of encouraging and the sort of intimacy and clarity and yet quiet, the intense quiet of like I'm guiding you inside my body and I'm kind of letting you know how it's going and I'm like I've done this before but not with you. It was really like intimate, beautiful, sexy, gorgeous. I lived, I died, I was reborn. What is there to say? You know what I mean? It took me so long to get through that scene because I was just like, this is happening, this is really happening. And I kept talking out loud to myself, by myself here in my apartment, kept talking to myself about the scene, and I had to keep going back because I was missing stuff, even though it was quiet and silent for most of the thing. And it was really highlighting like the communication required and the trust involved with any kind of sex, which is incredible. I mean, I'm always someone that's like, can we get a scene in which people are talking about what they like and what they don't like and, you know, what their hard limits are and everything. But I also understand, look, these are supposed to be like early 20s men, I think. So even though Henry's like, baby, I've been around. I've been at that English boarding school. I've been getting every day. You better know about it. I know how to bend over. You better believe it. Love that for you, baby. big fan of your work. But even though he's like, I know what we're doing, I know how to do this, there was just this like real beauty of the vulnerability and intensity and trust and communication required to just be like, I'm letting you into my space, I'm letting you into my body, I'm sort of taking this larger step with you. And it also kind of reminded me of a few late 80s, early 90s British films about like queer poets and stuff from like the 1800s. I know that sounds like way too specific, but it reminded me of, I think it's called Maurice, and then also this film with David Thewlis and Leonardo DiCaprio. It also kind of reminded me of Kill Your Darlings. Just like the lighting, this very like orangey candlelight, like there's a lot of light, but it's very muted. It's very romantic in that sense, as in like of a time gone by, as in like a very sort of romance era of poets and things like that. That's kind of what I mean when I'm like, oh, the poetry of this movie. Like I felt like there was something very poetic about just the lighting, the shots, the setup of the shots. Also, I mean, Diva, the key stays on during key stays on, you're hitting this man in the face with this key. Alex said, I'm gonna bruise up that chin with this key today. Take the key off. Or put it like around your back so it goes down your back. Like, but I love that there's like so many kissing scenes to kind of choose from, because I really can't stand the way that queer media in general needs to be so sterilized, you know what I mean? Saying that, I think that we should have more depictions of asexuality, obviously, but I also think as an allosexual person or someone who just enjoys whatever, I really want to see that depicted because it's normal and it's fine and it's healthy and it's beautiful. And it reminds me of an episode of Will and Grace where Jack is talking about this on-screen kiss that was supposed to happen, this gay on-screen kiss. And, you know, Will's like, why do you care? You have this huge collection of porn. Like, you have plenty of gay men going at it to look at. And then Jack is like, the thing is that not showing this kiss
sends the message that the way I live my life is offensive.
And I feel like that's exactly what it's about. You know what I mean? The depiction of queer love scenes, of queer intimacy, of queer kissing, it is to show that queerness is not bad, it's not wrong, it's not dirty, it's not something to be ashamed of, it's not something to hide away. It is just a reality of life, and it is just as valid and beautiful and messy and awkward and nasty and tender as anything that heterosexuals can do, and honestly, more so. But that's just what I think as a queer. I think that definitely being written and directed by a queer man, a gay man, I believe, really adds something, really creates something. Because it's like when you have someone who is writing and directing a scene who knows what it is like to be in that situation and isn't basing their idea of queer off like a facsimile of an idea of a concept of a derivative, you know? Like they're actually like, baby, I've been there. Baby, I've been there. I know what this is like. I know how to do this. I feel like that's exactly what we need. And I feel like we're having this wonderful wave of like depictions of queer love, queer romance at all stages of life, at all stages of like, you know, explicitness or intimacy or whatever it is. And I think that's great. You know, I want something that's like nasty and drug filled as much as the next person, in the same way that I want a cute romance, in the same way that I want something that's kind of in between. But we need more depictions like this where it's like grown up adults, they're not in high school, you know, they're not like totally dependent on their parents in that way, but they're also still kind of figuring things out and having some firsts. And I love that. And that's kind of so beautiful, like to really show people what it is to be in a particular situation for the first time, whether it is, you know, a love scene or whether it is just like communicating your feelings. I feel like that's sort of equally as intimate. And I will say, in terms of communicating feelings, that scene on the floating jetty, Nicholas, can I marry you? Can I marry you, please? I was watching that. I was like, this actor is truly acting. You know what I mean? This like smallness, this intimacy, this like inner journey that we are being shown as the audience through just this person's eyes and just their facial expression, that went off. That really did the damn thing. That was really gorgeous, beautiful, sexy, and fly. That was, baby. If the facial expressions and the eyes and the nonverbal communication in a love scene didn't have me being like, Nicholas, please can I put a ring on it? Definitely that jetty scene did. I was like, baby, that's That's nuts. You really did that. You really did that. I'm like, are you about to become my muse? Are you my muse right now? That blew my socks off. And like, where is Nicholas's award for that scene? I need to talk to someone right now. I know the movie just came out. I know the movie just came out, okay? But get him an award right now. Get that man an award. Do it. Do it. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Like, get that man an award. I'm serious. I'm so serious. I'm so genuine. That was nuts. Which is not to say anything bad about Taylor's performance. I feel like he did a great job. And I feel like there's a lot of really beautiful scenes where he is kind of really showing this a very adorable kind of intimacy of like small smiles, of kind of looking away, of kind of being a little bit bashful, which is really gorgeous and wonderful to watch, and I really enjoyed. I will say also, this is probably just me being a queer, watching queer films, but once he got up on that jetty, I was like, it's Summerstorm. I was like, oh, they're on that Summerstorm type beat. I don't know if you've seen Summerstorm. It's a German language queer film that's like a summer teen queer romance, and I really enjoyed it, but I haven't watched it in a really long time, so I don't know. Maybe there was a bunch of stuff in there that was kind of traumatic that I have forgotten about. But I will say that Summerstorm had a love scene on the jetty, which I've never forgotten. I've got that image. It's tattooed in my brain. It is a chip that I put in my brain, and it's in the fleshy tissue, and it's just rubbing along in the fleshy tissue, never to be pulled out again. Yeah, that was really intense. Although, at the time, I didn't really understand that much about, like, two men or two boys having sex, so I didn't really, like, at the time I wasn't really like, where's the lube? But now that I'm an adult, I'm like, where's the lube? And also, I will say, I did really enjoy that, like, post the love scenes, there was shots of lube and condoms. That's a thumbs up from me. That's an approval. That's an approval right there. Would I have enjoyed a bit where we're getting the lube on the fingers are going where they're going, we're opening things up? Yeah, but that's not what we showed. But we did show the lube and the condom. This video is brought to you by me and the Queer Summer Trilogy. This is Where the Pink Meets the Blue, a bisexual erotica. This is Under a Summer Sky in January, a teen sapphic love triangle. And coming soon, we have We Used to Hold Hands All the Time, a love story of childhood friends reunited. If you're following me on TikTok, you know the drama of me trying to finish this thing, but I will get it done. I also have my collection of flash fiction, Daydreamings, which is a collection of different connections, so lovers, friends, family, all kinds of different things like that. All my writing has a free preview on my website, so you can get a bit of a feel of what it's like before you buy. There's also content notes, so you know what you're getting into if you want to know, and free wallpapers for your phone or your computer. Where the Pink Meets the Blue is the story of Lucas and Stephen, two bisexual men on contracts to the Melbourne branch of the International Bank Homes in York. Stephen is in his late 30s, he's American, and Lucas is in his early 40s, he's British. So they're both kind of fish out of water in Australia, and so that kind of draws them together. It's a very internal journey, and there's a lot of smart in this, okay? You need to know that. It's also a non-linear storyline that's told both through prose and through texts and emails. Under a Summer Sky in January is the story of Celeste, August, and Hathor. Celeste cheats on August with Hathor, and this is kind of the emotional fallout and sort of queer friendship that comes out of it. This is set in Bathurst, New South Wales, which is where I grew up, and definitely draws on some of my own experiences as well as those of my friends. And it's mostly set in January of 2011, so it's kind of like a period piece. And then we jump backwards and forwards around the timeline. We Used to Hold Hands All the Time is not out yet, but it'll be out soon, and there is already a free preview on my website. It is the story of Matthew and Jessie, who were childhood friends in Oberon, New South Wales, until Jessie's mum moved away for work. And now, 17 years later, Jessie looks Matthew up, finds him, finds he's a playwright, and comes along to his play. So the story is told through prose, through scenes from the play, and we're kind of jumping back and forth from the reuniting to before that when they were kids, and sort of some of the internal journeys that are sort of happening during that time. So we have Where the Pink Meets the Blue, we have Under a Summer Sky in January, and Daydreamings all out now. We Used to Hold Hands All the Time coming out soon. So, woo, and back to the video. Also, Uma Thurman as the president of the United States, giving her son a queer sex talk. We love it. We love it. Also, she said, are you gay, pan, bi, queer, fluid? She said, are you all these things? She said, you could be anything, baby. She can say whatever you are. I love that. Love that. I love you. And it's just, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Also, her accent was nuts. I loved it, though. I loved it. This is the thing. I feel like there are elements of these films that did maybe look a little bit cheap. And there are elements that were a little bit, you know, like, I don't know what the fuck Thurman was doing it through accent. It's very possible for me to be like, I give it 5 stars out of 5, and still be like, there's some tweaks that I would make if it was my film. But the thing is, it's not my film. It's not my film. So it is either for me to watch it and be like, as it is, do I enjoy it? Absolutely. Yes. And then a separate conversation from that is like, these are some things that kind of made me cackle, or that seemed a little bit out of place, or that were just a little bit odd. But I also think like it kept me incredibly entertained. This is probably one of the most entertaining things I've watched in a really long time. And this pulled me out of a depressive episode. I didn't say that in the beginning. In my TikTok, I mentioned that. But like this pulled me out of a depressive episode. And I've been rewatching it in like 20 or 30 minute chunks, like it's a mini-series. I've been rewatching it in smaller sittings, just to kind of like see all the things that I missed the first time because I was too busy screaming, laughing, and running around my apartment. The way I was running around this apartment, maybe you don't want to know about it. The absolute amount of time that I spent. It took me 4 hours to watch this film. It took me all afternoon to watch this film because I was too busy screaming, crying, throwing up, having the absolute time of my life. Every 30 seconds, pause, screaming, running around. Ah! Just screaming. My neighbours probably thought I was being shaken around with a knife. Those poor people, they must think I'm nuts. I mean, I am, but you know what I'm saying. But Uma Thurman giving that sex talk, incredible. She was like, baby, lube, condoms, PrEP, HPV vaccine. All the hits. She said, tick, 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 tick. We love it. That's great. That was incredible, you know. And also, step it up. If you're going to have a parent being like, I love you and I love that you're queer, then you need to have that parent be like, baby, we need to talk about toys, we need to talk about safety, we need to talk about lube, we need to talk about medication, we need to hit all the points, okay? We got to get all this done. We've got to talk about if he's choking you, no more than 5 seconds at a time. We've got to talk about if he's choking you, it's a squeeze this way, it's not a press this way. We've got to talk about if you're getting tied up, you've got to make sure that you don't lose circulation in your hands and feet. All the hits, okay? Because this is why I feel like this is so many films in one. It's like that museum scene, and they're slow dancing to a version of Can't Help Falling in Love that I've never heard but that I loved. That was too cute. That was so beautiful and gorgeous and tender and intimate and like romantic. And I just... You know, I have a heart, believe it or not. Despite my penchant for making jokes, doing my little funny bits, and being generally a reckless human, I do love, and I love beautiful, intimate, slow, gorgeous moments. That sort of quiet beauty of just wanting to be around someone and be in their presence. I was like, that was so gorgeous. That's so gorgeous. And here we are alone in this museum. It was too much. It was gorgeous. I loved that. Also, we have to talk about the fashion, okay? Because it was giving, it was serving, I was living, I was loving, I was laughing, okay? I was enjoying the fashion. Nora brought the looks every time. She said, oh, me? I'm just a fashionista. Me? I'm just a gorgeous, beautiful girl. I'm just bringing it to you. I'm serving it up. I am twirling. I am living my life. I am being a model. I am being the it girl. I am bringing it to you, and you can choke. And I absolutely did. I gagged, I choked, I lived, I died, I was reborn. I was brought back to life by the power of fashion. And I sit before you today as a person who is just here to say that Nora is incredible, and I love her, and I love everything about her, and she brought the looks. And so did Percy. Baby, Percy said, oh, we're going out? Percy said, oh, I gotta serve a look? Percy said, oh, I'm a man being fashionable. I'm a new wave guy. I'm looking gorgeous. I'm looking sexy. I know about colours. I know about patterns. I know about me. I know about fashion. That's what Percy said, and he served. I
also really enjoyed that through the costuming, we kind of see the relationship flourishing and blossoming, because when we first meet Henry and Alex, they're in a lot of black and white. It's a formal event, so it's very black and white. And then as the relationship progresses, we start to get some navy, some copper, and then we start to get some true red, some true blue, and then we start to get pink and teal. And I just found that to be really interesting how they kind of stuck to the color family of like blues, reds, and then kind of really worked that into the wardrobe for the two main characters, and such a great way to like incorporate wardrobe. And then, of course, you know, during those more intimate moments, we have a lot of white, because red, white, and royal blue. So I did notice that as well. Thought that was really cool.
I love cinema. I love cinema, and I love poetry, and I love fashion. And I love this film. And I'll say it again. I'll say it again and again and again and again. I will say, look, I went into this thinking it was going to be like a cheap, cheesy TV movie. And it definitely has really great moments of being cheesy and being corny and being very much a rom-com. And I enjoyed that. You know what I mean? I'm here for the journey of the rom-com. I'm here for just like a fun, silly, frivolous movie. And then they're also like, capitalism is bad, representation matters, and we need intersectionality. We need to learn about our privilege. Like, they really went down the list and just tick, 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 tick. And also, sexual safety for queers. Everything. We hit every mark. What? You make a better film. You make a better film. Also, apparently, it was 3 hours before cuts. Baby, where is it? Where's that full film? Where is it? Why didn't you release the 3? Hello? Matthew Lopez? Excuse me? Where's the 3-hour cut? And when are we going to get those deleted scenes? I know the film just came out 2 days ago. That's not my point. My point is, where are those other scenes, and why can't I watch them right now with my eyes? That's my point. That's my point. That's my point. That's my point. Where are those other scenes, and why can't I watch them right now with my eyes? And when am I going to get the extended cut? Hello? I love cinema, art, poetry, fashion, and intimacy, so please give it to me. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. I love this film. I love this film. I'm going to watch it again and again and again and again until it runs out my ears, until I absolutely lose my mind and my touch with reality. But I don't need my mind. And I don't need to be in touch with reality, because I am fun and flirty and queer and artistic, and that's all that matters, baby! All that matters. Also, a quick FAQ for anyone who's been subscribed for like 10 years. Where have I been? I've been doing live performance, 5 solo comedy, 3 solo theatre. I wrote a play last year, so that was me and my friend Lou Seviel. I wrote, directed, choreographed, etc., all that stuff. Did a collection of flash fiction, did the Queer Summer Trilogy, which I haven't finished, but I will finish. Came out as non-binary. That's whatever. You know about non-binary, you know about gender and stuff. I just been being a person. I just haven't been doing YouTube. I'm on like, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. Like, if you want to find me, you can find me. If you want to see what I've been up to, you can go and see it. I don't think I'm like interesting enough, impactful enough, famous enough that I need to be like, oh my god, this is where I've been. But yeah, I've just been doing other stuff. Like, I just assume that I don't know. I also wanted to end this with some recommendations for other films if you enjoyed Red, White, and Royal Blue. I don't know if these are that similar, but to me, these are other films that I really enjoyed and that had like a similar impact on me. The first one is Shelter, 2007. No one knows about this movie. No one knows, and I find that nuts, because it is one of the few films of like the 2000s that is queer, that doesn't employ bury your gaze, and that isn't generally like tragic and horrible and awful. Like, it's a bright, sunny kind of queer coming of age, but this guy's like university, he's like an adult, and he's just kind of realizing like, oh, I'm gay and I'm into this person that is already in my life, and this person kind of comes back, and it's this sort of like, oh wow, I've always had feelings for this person I didn't even realize, and that's kind of beautiful and gorgeous. And he's also sort of stepping into his own and like stepping into his visual art and stuff. So I don't know, maybe it won't be as impactful, maybe it needs the context of its time, but it stuck with me. The other film is The Half of It. It's a sapphic story, and it's sort of a coming of age. It's very internal again, and it's also kind of intersectional. The main character is Chinese American, I believe. Idea of like needing to really stay with the family and sort of be part of this particular community and kind of deny her own reality of herself, and then it's sort of her coming into that, which I just thought was gorgeous and beautiful and incredible. It's very chaste, and it's very internal, very damp. It's very damp. But that sounds a bit weird, but I feel like there's a lot of rain and there's a lot of water, and it's very like kind of, it has a bit of a dreariness to it, which I feel is really gorgeous and beautiful. I think that rain adds this like contrast to the world, which I love. So I thought it was really gorgeous. I loved it and I cried. I cried. So the third film is Olympic Dreams. It's not a queer film, but it's a very internal journey. With Stephen Patton, it's a very internal journey. It's really about the self. It's about isolation and loneliness. I don't. It's the first film to ever be filmed in the Olympic Village. It was Sochi 2014. It was filmed in, and Alexi is actually a former Olympian, and she really advocates for the mental health of elite athletes. And this is really about like loneliness and the self and what it is to be someone who is among these elite athletes, and it's sort of the middle of the pack. Like, what is that? Most Olympians, they don't make it to the medal ceremony. So what is it to be someone who still gets to be part of this huge thing that is like the best of the best and is not the best of the best? What is that journey for that person? And this character that she plays is completely alone. No coach, no friends, no nothing. And she's just trying to find someone to connect with. And I just, oh, baby. Something a little more fun, I would recommend Josie and the Pussycats and Jawbreaker, which are both like queer iconic films, even though they're not queer characters. They're very campy. So something a little bit more fun. Content warning for a Jawbreaker, it does contain death. It doesn't take that death seriously, which is really something. But if you liked Heathers, you might like Jawbreaker. Josie and the Pussycats, I mean, it sort of is a campy piss take of the music industry. So if that tickles your boat, I would really... Tickles your boat? Yeah, whatever. If that tickles your boat, then I would recommend it. So that's it. That's me freaking out over Red, White, and Royal Blue. What did you think of Red, White, and Royal Blue? What do you think of my movie recommendations? What do you think about queer cinema in general? What do you think about this new wave of bisexual representation? We always need more. We always need more. But yeah, what do you think about it? What do you think about queer rep in general? What do you think about streaming films being different to films that are wide released? What do you think about the idea of non-English queer films, especially European and South American, often being a little more heavy on the love scenes and stuff? What do you think about that? Let me know. If you made it all the way to the end, please leave a thumbs up in your comments so that I know. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I'll be making some more videos soon. But take it easy. You're another wouldn't approve how my mother raised me, but I do.